I will be doing a quick tank review for the Swedish TO7TD IKV 90 Type B. This vehicle, for the most part, it is okay, just like the predecessor before it. It have roughly the same play style, vehicle strengths, weaknesses, and the same play style still. So there is not much of a learning curve to this tank, except for the only major difference between that and it is due to the vehicle low threat nature. It is pretty stealthy, especially when you have the camouflage perk and the camouflage net added on. Now, let's get into the vehicle stats themselves. The vehicle stats, when the tank it is fully upgraded, the only good thing about the tank is the gun itself, the vehicle mobility, and the concealment rating that you can have. Besides that, the vehicle spotting range, it is not that great, with the survival ability to match as with the rest of the predecessors up to this point. So let's begin off with the gun you will be using mainly. It's a 90mm gun that is okay across the board. The rate of fire, it is good, so you can have about 9 to 10 rounds per minute with this gun if you have the proper setup, with the penetration value being pretty good. So as long as you know where to aim at with the regular AP round, you can penetrate the enemy tank most of the time, while using the heat round when you need to penetrate a enemy target that you have a problem penetrating with regular AP. The damage across the board is not that great nor bad, 240 due to the rate of fire and what backup you will have. If you focus your fire, you can easily reduce a full hit point tank down to 0 in a hurry, while having the fantastic accuracy and aiming time to match as well. Accuracy is 0.35, aiming time it is 2.2 seconds, with the reload time that I have currently just underneath 7 seconds. So effectively, if you know where the enemy tank is going to be, you can effectively line up your shot with the reload time you have and fire set target on the move with the fantastic gun traverse that you have. The damage output, it is okay. It's about 2,300, so you can do a good amount of damage in a minute if you have to. The gun traverse, it's pretty good. It is 21 degrees, so the gun can turn on a dime if need be from left to right. With the fantastic gun traverse, 20 to the left, 20 to the right. So as long as you are in a very good position, you do not need to move ZTD all that much, while having the excellent gun depression downward, 10 downward, so you can effectively hill fight with this if need be. While the gun elevation upward, it is okay, 12. My experience with the gun elevation upward, that only be a bit of a problem when you are on a part of the map, especially hilly part of the map where the enemy tank is using the hill to their advantage to actually stay outside of your gun elevation and until you actually move elsewhere to actually manage to hit them when they are on that hill. Overall, the gun is okay. Now the survival ability, it's completely rubbish. 800 hit points, armor is non-existent here. 15 in the front, side rear 12. Due to the paper-thin nature of the vehicle, when it comes to armor. The crew member and the module, they can be damaged easily enough. With 800 hit points, you can take a few good hits before you are killed. So take that take that into consideration when you go on the offensive when it comes to potentially getting hit. Due to the thin armor, this vehicle can potentially be one-shotted by the high damage howitzers that you will be going up against easily enough. Now the mobility, it is fantastic for weighing about 14 tons. The top engine will give you 310 horsepower, so you will have a decent enough horsepower to ton ratio, about 23 horsepower to 1 ton. That means when you are on flat terrain, going in a straight line or going downhill, you can easily reach the vehicle top speed or reverse speed of 20 kilometers, which is pretty good. Which, with the vehicle top speed and how quick you can go, you will need to use that to your advantage at times if you need to change from location A to B quickly enough. The vehicle have a fantastic hull traverse of 32. This is where the concealment rating, it is fantastic when you have the camouflage perk and the camouflage net. If I wanted to improve the camouflage rating even more, I would go with camouflage paint as well. When I am not moving, it is 49, and when I am on the move, it is 20. As long as I stay still behind camouflage and not fire, I am going to be a hard to spot target until the enemy team find me. So remember, stealth, it is your friend, especially at range, if you want to remain off of enemy radar. When it comes to doing a lot of damage at the long range, at the said enemy tank outside of their view range. Now, the base view range, it is 340 meters. That is not that bad nor good, but if you want to increase the view range even more, my recommendation, just for trying to maximize it without actually spending gold to take items off, go with the binocular telescope, as it will effectively increase your view range up to 425 meters. With that view range, you can effectively increase your vehicle sniping ability and be a bit of a passive scout as well, with the combination of the vehicle mobility and the amazing camouflage rating. The vehicle radio, it is okay, 615 meters. Let's get into the vehicle research part of the video now. The research for the tank, it's an easy tank to go through, as you will have to do very little research to move on to the next tank in the lineup, the UDES-03, which you will just only have to research the Top Gun only. So getting the rest of the equipment here, it is optional. Let's begin off with the pair of tracks. To mount all of the equipment onto the tank here, you will have to equip and research the top pair of tracks, which you will have a better load limit. So having the load limit from 13.5 to 16, that does help a bit. If you don't want to use the top pair of tracks here, you can always go with the enhanced torsion bar to increase your load limit by a bit, with what additional side benefits that it does offer you as well. Now, engines. You have two to use. The second engine you will have to research anyways. When it comes to the engines, it is quite viable for you to use the first engine throughout the entire grind if you want to, as you will have a good enough horsepower to ton ratio still, with 270 horsepower. But if you want to have a slightly better horsepower to ton ratio, I would go with the top engine here, as that for the extra horsepower, it does make a bit of a difference, especially when it comes to the acceleration area of the tank, while weighing roughly the same still, and having the same transfer engine fire. Radios, you have three to use: the RA100, 105, and the 146. Use the top radio right away, as you would have had this radio unlocked already on the IKV 6502. This is the best radio to use, as 615 meters, it is good enough. Now, the two guns you have, they are roughly the same. Both of them are 90 millimeters, except for the 90 centimeter Con MF. It's a better version of the first gun, the Boffer L53 gun. The only difference between these two guns are the increased rate of fire, the penetration increase, the accuracy, and the aiming time. It is increased by a bit, but with a good crew and equipment setup, that aiming time, it can be reduced to roughly the same as the first gun aiming time. Use the Top Gun ASAP, as this is the best gun that you will be using on the tank, especially when it comes to the penetration value from the L53 to the MF gun. That 30 millimeters difference, it does make a difference at times, especially when you are going up against heavy tanks that have angled armor at the hard tier areas. Now, let's cover the consumables, the ammunition, the equipment, and how are you going to be using the IKV 90B. Let's begin off with the consumables. Consumables, I would go with the three most useful consumables that you can use: the small first aid kit, the small repair kit, and the manual fire extinguisher. The other consumables you can go with, if you want to have a permanent bonus when they're not being used, go with the automatic fire extinguisher. That does help a bit, and it does put out fires instantly. The combat ration seal, and going with either the large repair kit and the large first aid kit for the permanent bonus it does offer you when it's not being used. The vehicle ammunition, you have a good amount of ammo, 48 rounds of ammo. So, for the most part, you will never run out of ammo in a match with this tank. Unless in the rare few cases that you would do. So for the 48 ammunition that you will be using in a match, the majority of it will be primarily BAP, as you can penetrate most of the targets with it easily enough, while saving the heat rounds for the heavily armored targets that you have a problem penetrating with regular AP. Heat rounds, I would generally go with having about 8 on hand in case if you need to use them. If you are out of heat rounds, due to the penetration value for regular AP, you can easily flank the said enemy tank side and rear and penetrate their side and rear easily enough. Or shoot at the vehicle weak spots if you can shoot at them from range. Each heat round will cost you 11 gold or 4,400. HE, it's going to be another useful ammo type still against the suddenly armored targets that you will be going up against still. Primarily SPG, primarily the artillery pieces. Besides that, HE, it is useful just to destroy debris in front of you, so you can get a clear line of sight on the target. Now, the equipment I went with the camouflage net, the binocular telescope, and the medium caliber tank gun rammer to effectively increase the vehicle sniping ability and being a bit of a passive scout as well. The other pieces of equipment that you can use if you want to increase the tank performance by a bit, going with the enhanced gun lane drive is a good way to decrease what is already a good aiming time by a bit. The permanent option to increase your view range on this tank, go with coded optics if you want to. The enhanced torsion bar, as I mentioned before, your effective load limit is increased by a bit, while making the suspensions more durable and receiving less damage when it comes to hull damage. When it comes to falls mainly. The vents here, the improved ventilation class 1 is a good way to improve the overall tank performance by a bit, and it improved the crew as well. Now, when it comes to playing the IKV 90B, you are going to be primarily playing the tank as a medium to a long distance sniper still. The other roles that the IKV 90B can be quite good in is being the passive scout at times, being a medium to a short distance sniper, and being a support TD. Besides that, those are the three main roles that you can do quite well in the IKV 90B. Based upon the situation in the map, you can play quite the offensive, aggressive TD at times, which I will show you how you can do it in a match in a replay coming up soon. The thing that you have to remember if you are going to be playing the IKV as a very aggressive TD is you can get yourself killed easily, unless if you know what you are doing. In that case, make a plan and know what you are going into first. If not, then primarily stick with the sniping role and the support role as well. Due to the vehicle mobility, you can sometimes fill the flanking role as well, so you can get to the vehicle side and rear and shoot at the vehicle weak spot while having your team to back you up. The matchmaking for this tank, it is tier 7 up to tier 9 maximum. When you are top tier, you can do quite well if you know what you are doing, especially when you are playing on the offensive a lot. But when you are not top tier in a tier 8 and 9 match, I generally stick to more of a support role or being a sniper for the most of the match. Now, let me show you the replays. This replay, I will show you how well you can do in the IKV 90B when you're playing towards the vehicle's strengths and weaknesses, primarily playing the vehicle as a very aggressive TD. during the match, I will also switch in between roles that the IKV is good at when you play toward the vehicle's strengths and weaknesses. First thing first, I am going to act as a bit of a passive scout and being a bit of a sniper for my team as well, until the team advances to extend their control of the map to the north, to the top right side of the map, primarily. Seeing the medium tanks, they are having the 6-7 line under their control for the time being in the north. I switch locations here, so with what the team is spotting for me and me for the team, I can effectively help my team heal. Between me and a ally that I lit the E25 for, the E25 went down easily enough. I fell back a bit here to get off the enemy radar, seeing there is only the Panther M10 there, the T28 there. Looking at the team roster for the enemy side so far, I made a educated guess and go on the offensive here. When going on the offensive or not to, it's important to know the map you're on, what is left of the enemy team, what they are using, the tactics, and etc. if you want to do quite well on the offensive field. Fortunately, I had backup behind me, primarily in the north, to help me kill the Panther M10. Right now, the rest of the team is divided on two fronts, the bottom and to the east side of the map. So far, I am doing pretty good. About 500 actual damage and about 1,600 assist damage. Right now I am being very careful as not to overextend myself here, as I can be killed easily enough. Fortunately, the STRV was in the open there long enough for me to shoot at it. Right now, I am going to be using my vehicle height to my advantage, so I can effectively use the email here as cover in a way, as both of these vehicles are roughly the same height in a way. Fortunately, I saw the artillery there pop up on the map when I did, and had a gut feeling at the time that the artillery was going to fire, so I moved, trying to get out of the blast area effect. Fortunately, I used my superior rate of fire here, firing every 7 seconds or so to finish the artillery piece off. The M6 there, I tried to get here in time to do some more additional damage. The SPC and the FV304, they are going to be killed quickly enough by my team. And this is where my usefulness to the team comes to an end in the match. For primarily playing this vehicle on the offensive for the most part, playing carefully enough toward the vehicle's strengths and weaknesses, I did not too bad for being in a tier 8 match. I did about 1,400 damage with about a additional 1,700 damage, which is pretty nice. So about 3,100 damage done. Now, let's go to the garage now to do a brief recap on the TD itself. Let's do a brief recap on the IKV 90B. The tank itself, it is okay. It's not that great nor bad, just like the predecessor. The important thing that you have to remember when you are using the IKV 90B is that if you want to do quite well in this tank, you need to use the appropriate tactics and play toward the vehicle's strengths and weaknesses while not getting yourself killed. Based upon the situation, it is quite viable for you to go on the offensive at times. If you're going to do that, it is important that you use the appropriate tactics so you don't get yourself killed. As this is a paper thin TD pretty much, and everything can kill you easily enough. Besides that, whether you are on the offensive or playing this TD primarily as a sniper, as long as you stick to using the correct tactics and play toward the vehicle's flaws and to their strengths, you can do quite well in this CD easily enough. I hope that you learn a thing or two about the IKV 90B and how to use it properly. If you like this video, leave a like, a comment, and even follow my channel as well. Good luck on the battlefield, everyone.